Okay, this is a video I'm going to do to show the removal and replacement of a fuel pump and fuel filter on a Ferrari Mondial quattro valve. So the first thing you got to do is obviously jack your car up a bit, and you've got to remove this plate here. It's not difficult, but it's 10mm bolts like that. There's a series of them around, pretty easy to see. And the fuel pump's just in here, just under here. That's probably the earth wire to it, to be honest. Right there's probably the earth wire, so it's just under here, just in there. Don't know if you can see it through that hole. No, probably not. Oh, there it is there. Yeah, you can see it there, just in that hole. And remove that and remove the pump. So the first thing you got to do is take this off, and then you've got to drain your tanks. Now, unfortunately for me, I've got about half a tank with fuel in it. So that's a bit of a bummer, but I'll remove this first, and then I shall drain the tank and go from there. So see you soon. So there's the plate that protects the fuel tanks from damage, and as you can see, they get a few scrapes over the years. You can see a couple of splits even. Oh, not a split, but oh yeah, there is a split there. There's a split there, and a bit of a tear. That's always been there since I've had the car, so what I might do is, while that's off, I might fix that up, fix up that damage there, fix that up and clean that up while it's off the car. So pretty easy to get off. Right, so here's the fuel tanks exposed. Nice, sweet little aluminium ones. Might as well check your fuel hoses and so on while you're here. I can just get under there. That one there, which is actually this one here, which goes through to the actual fuel pump. And that one there, you can see the yellow paint on the hose clamps, which is from Ferrari. So obviously, where are we? That one there, that's been replaced since, obviously. There's no yellow paint on it. The yellow paint is what the Ferrari mechanics tend to do. So if there's no yellow paint on it, well, it's likely it's not original, but it is only a hose clamp. There's the fuel pump right there, so it doesn't look like a big deal to take off and fix or replace. Earth wire. Okay. Alright. Okay, so the next part of the Ferrari Mondial fuel pump swap out is, of course, you've got to jack the car up because you have to drain the fuel tanks. Now, as you can see, I've got it on stands. Sorry about that. Got it on stands, all four stands there. Okay, I use two jacks, one down there, the red one. I use two jacks when putting my car up on stands, so there's no fear of twisting the body. Even though the Ferrari is very, very stiff in the body, you kind of jack up one side at the back, and it's it lifts both wheels left and right at either end. Another thing to do when you're doing fuel, okay, is make sure you disconnect the battery. Ferrari have graciously placed in a battery isolator switch down there. It's a bit hard to see, but it's down just behind your fans. Another thing I do is fire extinguisher on hand. Have it so you can actually reach it. And just a big rag there in case I have to sop up. It's a towel, just in case I have to mop up any residual fuel that might spill or something like that. Make sure you don't use any power cords or anything that could cause a short or a spark at all. It's not ideal. So make sure all your power leads are well stowed away. I'm not going to need light necessarily for this job. You drain the tank from there, from that brass fitting, and I've jacked the front of the car up about an inch and a half higher than the rear, hopefully, so it's basically going back, it's tilting back towards the back of the car. Hopefully that's going to help with the flow of the fuel out, because I do have at least half a tank in there, which is ideally run it until you know you're pretty empty. Makes it a lot easier, but that's just me not thinking ahead. But anyhow, I'll get back to you when I'm ready to take the fuel out. Okay, under the car, here's the thing. I like to use a breaker bar on this. I've never undone it, so I don't know how tight it's going to be. 22mm socket onto here, and we undo. Now, other thing, don't wear gloves. You get fuel all over your hands. Have your container ready. One on wheels is good, so you can slide in and out. If you get fuel on your hands and it does ignite, well, the gloves are going to melt to your hands, so don't wear gloves. Eye protection. There we go, it's already undone. See a little bit of fuel dripping there. Now I don't know how fast this is going to come out, so, or how deep the thread is, so I'm just going to let it out gently and just let it drip for now. I don't want to drop the plug into the tub if I can avoid it. I can't see the camera, so I hope this is starting to get a bit of a flow happening there. Yeah, I'm just going to let that drip for a bit. Now, I don't want the fuel squirting straight out towards me, you know, because there might be at least 10 to 20 litres in there. So I'm just going to let it drip into this tub like that. I'm going to let it drip for a while. I'm not going to pull the plug out until I'm confident that I'm not going to get a big gush of fuel coming out. I've got all the time in the world, so I'll get back to you. Fuel's flowing there pretty good. It didn't gush out like I thought. It's just coming out nice and steady, filling up, which is good. It's expensive fuel. I want to keep it. $1.50 a litre here in Australia. It's pretty expensive if you ask me. It's 98 octane, and the plug has an aluminium washer. Don't swap it out for a copper one. Keep the aluminium one. It should be fine to reuse. Alright, so just let it fuel. What I might do is take the filler cap off, but I want to be careful doing that because that might increase the flow dramatically. But anyhow, it's not a bad idea just to let it go as it is, nice and steady. So as expected, I undid the filler cap and you can see the flow there has increased dramatically. It's still well under control, and if you do the cap back up, which I will try and reach up and do, it actually slows it down. There you go, see that? So your filler cap kind of works like a tap. So if you want a bit more flow, just bring your filler cap out. There it goes. That's basically off now, completely off. So I'll put it back on and tighten it a little bit, and you can see it's basically working like a tap, which is pretty cool to regulate your fuel flow. If you want it a bit faster, just bring your cap off like that. Your fuel starts to really move. And then when you think you're getting up close to filling up your container, because that's the only clean, it's a brand new container, cost me $6, but to guarantee no contaminants and so on, and also to have the wifey go off her brain at you for using one of the storage containers that she puts the kids' undies in or something like that. So a new one, don't get any domestics happening. Sometimes wives just don't understand. But anyhow, as you can see, that's flowing really well. So if I want to slow it down, I just reach up, I put the cap on, look at that. I've tightened the cap up now a little bit, just hand tight, and look at that. Look how much it's slowed down. As you can see, no spillage anywhere. Yeah, nice and clean floor. All's going well. Okay, so the tanks are fully drained. Just for the last bit, I've put the plug back in already, as you can see there. Tightened it, but not super tight, just tight enough, so it's not going to leak. We'll check the leaks later anyway when we finish the job. Just for the last bit, as you can see, the lip of the drain plug is a little bit higher than the actual base of the tank. So what I did was I used a syringe, and like this one, and I just placed the nozzle in through the drain hole and just sucked out probably about 4 or 5 of those. Yeah, so there was still quite a bit of fuel in there, but it got rid of the most of it. I'd say about 90%, 98% I should say, of it has come out. So hopefully we won't have too much leaking, because here's the little sucker there, fuel pump. Anyway, we're going to get stuck into taking that off. Okay, so the fuel pump, pretty simple. There's a hose clamp here. I think I will do that last. There's your earth wire here, undone from here with an 8mm spanner, pretty easy. Okay, there's one just under here, your positive, that's where your power coming in. You can't get to it with a spanner, so 7mm socket up and in there, get it out pretty easy. Okay, and then of course your fuel line here. I'm not sure exactly the size spanner for that. Looks close to, I reckon, about maybe 16mm. Oh no, 17. $17mm spanner on there. Sorry, I should have had that worked out before. But yeah, 17mm spanner, as you can see, you can get on there pretty easily. Oh, look at that. It's already undone. Wasn't done up very tight, was it, for me to be able to just do that, and now it's dripping. Yeah? Scary. Alright, that's why you check things. Okay, so basically just undoing these, and remember, make sure your power is off, so don't have any shorts and sparks with fuel, because as you can see there's a little bit of residual fuel around. There has to be. Don't lose your washers. I tend to put things straight back on. like that, and the one up and behind. They've got little rubber boots on them, so you have to remove the boots. I can't even see that one. I have to get under there, I'm afraid. Can get to it, but it is difficult. It's not very straightforward. I mean, you can drop it if you want, and then unplug it, and then be able to manipulate that a little bit easier than what I'm showing. But I have loosened it. I don't really want to take it off the clamp yet, off its bracket, because it's kind of holding it for me to be able to undo anything that was tight. I've got it. And also, I don't want to undo it until I'm ready to take it off here at the fuel line. So it's ready to catch the washer. It's there. There it goes. I didn't catch it, but I saw it land. I think I'll get a screwdriver. I'll just flick that off. He's off. He's off. And the other one is off. So that's disconnected. I'll undo this. Just get it loose while I'm here with the screwdriver. I did right out, so bring them away. Hopefully that fuel line's not too bad. It's not a hard fuel line to change. Very easy. Probably the easiest out of the lot. Now it's just a matter of undoing this fuel line here, and bracket. I can't put my nut and washer back on until there is, until I can reach it. So for now, I'll put my nut and my washer right there. Loosened. Okay. Just a matter of putting a couple of spanners on that to undo it. They're both 17, so off to the shed to get another spanner. I've undone the clamp up here, the hose is connected. Okay, it's there. And now what I've done is, let's get it in shot, I've undone this nut here for the bracket. Okay, then I'm going to undo this one here, and that's going to spread this bracket out here. It's going to spread it out and loosen this off. Then I'm going to bring it away this way. Hopefully I've got the clearance here, between here. Sorry. I've got the clearance here between here and here, and then I'm going to wind this off, just wind it off the pump. So everything's disconnected except that and the hose. So I'm going to take this off, loosen this, try and bring it out this way, and then wind it off there, wind this off there. Okay, so when I've done that, hopefully it's successful, I'll get back. Now be warned, when you pull this from the hose, you're going to get a considerable amount of fuel. I don't know if you can see that in there, but enough to be an issue, so be prepared for it. So, little tub, yeah, keep any ignition or light sources well away. Then once you've done that, once you've got it free from the pipe, to get it off this fuel line here, simply spin it, yeah, simply spin it like that in the bracket, and as you can see, it comes undone and you can see the fuel coming out. So you got to be prepared for this. If I get any on this camera, I'm a dead man. I might as well move out. So I have to be really careful. I'm just going to let that drain, but as you can see, that's just pretty much out. Yeah. This will not come out the whole way this way because of this tank here and this bit here. It just doesn't clear. So it's easy, you just spin it in there. So the way I take it out is exactly the way I'm going to put the new one back in, which I don't even have yet. I've ordered it from Superformance in the UK. It takes between 5 and 10 days to get to Australia. A bit faster than Captain Cook, but still takes a while. So when that turns up, I'll do another video putting it in. It's just reverse. It was £103, so that was pretty good. I thought that was a pretty good price. So for me, that's, you know, around about $200 Australian, which, you know, probably never have to do another one, hopefully. So yeah, anyhow, it should be easy to pull out now that it's stopped leaking. Just watch out, there's a washer on there, little copper washer. You don't want to lose that. Might just take it off for this bit here. Just place it down. So now, hopefully, if I'm right, I should be able to just slide it out and it should just drop out. And any excess fuel, not on the camera, but, and there's one Ferrari Mondial fuel pump. Probably same fuel pump for a lot of the 308s and so on. Don't quote me on that, but it probably is. Cool. See you when we've got the new fuel pump. So this is the fuel filter, this one here. This one down there, this here is the fuel accumulator, and this big sucker here is the fuel filter. Pretty easy to undo and take off just from here. And I don't know if you can see that from around there. I'll try and film it. It's from the one at the top there. There it is. That one there. Hope the light's alright. And then of course the strap and the center, which is at the back. It's just pretty easy to undo. Pretty hard to get them wrong. Big filter too. Anyhow, I'm going to undo those and take that off. You can see residual fuel dripping out. So I've undone. There he is. Okay, rid of that rag. It's full of fuel. You can see I've undone that one. Okay, the bottom one. 17mm here, 19mm here. Hold that one, turn that one. So turn it towards, so anti-clockwise. Normal, you know. And then there's that top one up there, which will be the same deal, so I don't think any more fuel will come out. I'm just going to mark this one so I know which one that goes to. It goes to the bottom one. I'm filming it anyway, but I like to mark things. Alright. So I've got the fuel filter off. I actually had to take it off by the actual filter here because I just could not get this undone on the car, so I've taken it off and just unscrewed it from here, and then I've just put it in the vise and got that loose. I'm pretty sure you get new ones of those anyway with your new filter. So I did take the bracket off after all. The support bracket just made it a lot easier to get it out. Anyhow, there it is. Alright. Okay, so new fuel filter from Superformance. As you can see, it's slightly different to the original one. This one's a Bosch, this is a Ryco. I don't think that's going to make too much difference. Diameter's slightly different, but it should be fine. Comes along with two new copper washers and a couple of dust caps as well. This all looks pretty good, and of course this is the new fuel pump, which also comes along with a couple of new rubber boots, which is really cool because I was looking around to renew them, but they come with it. And there's the fuel pump, and there's the old ones. So as you can see, they look pretty much identical, just different colour. Alright, so now it's just simply time to fit them, and of course they come with a little bit of an instruction there. And warranty. Just gives you the flow. That's obviously the pre-filter. Alright, time to fit them. There's the fuel pump connected. So here, make sure you got all your copper washers in. The negative is on the negative and the positive is on the positive. There's new boots. You get new boots with it, so you put the new boots on. You may as well. And don't forget to do your hose clamp on the side. Once again, the diameter of this fuel pump was a little bit bigger than the original as well, just slightly, you know, I'm talking maybe a millimetre, but enough to make this bracket a real pain in the backside to deal with. But it will fit, it will work, it's just a bit of a pain. So just double check that everything's tight, everything's done up, your power's on the correct one. They're different size threads, so you can't really get them wrong. Well, possibly you could, to be honest, but they are different size threads. Just look, positive, negative, written right there in the mouldings. I don't know if you can see that. There it is there. Positive, negative. Negative is always going to go to the body, it's going to earth, isn't it? Yeah, and just make sure everything's tight all the way up, back up through your fuel pump, through your fuel filter, and then before I put the cover on, I'm actually currently doing an oil change while I'm here as well. Get rid of the old oil, might as well while the car's up on stands, and then I'm going to put some fuel in it and then look for leaks, and then start it up. Once I put the oil in, start it up, and look for leaks. If all good, I'll put the bottom protector pan back on and give it a test, and it should all be fine, hopefully. Anyhow, they're not difficult to put on. Well, when I say that, they're not technically difficult to put on, but I have to admit, if you've got a ramp, and I mean you know, a lift or something, it makes the job so much easier than lying on your back. They're a bit of a pain in the backside, I've got to admit, both of them, but technically very simple. Physically, pain in the backside. But anyhow, time for the oil change and put some fuel in it and start it up. Cheers. Okay, so there's the fuel pump, sorry, the fuel filter there. I'm just screwing it on like that because I can't for the life of me get these two apart. So I'm making sure that washer, these two here, I can't get them apart. Making sure that washer there is in there. If you don't have one of those rubber lined washers, then put a copper washer in there, but make sure it's the right one. So I'm going to tighten that up. Then it's just a matter of connecting this fuel line to the bottom part, and make sure once again that, try and get under there. I'm under the wheel arch at the moment, so it's really difficult. Yeah, you can see there's a copper washer on that there. You can see the copper washer there. Make sure that's done up tight, and you've got a copper washer on there. Sorry for the video, it's really difficult to get in here. So I'm just going to connect those cables up, those lines up. This one, I've done the top one, I'm just going to tighten that one first, then I'm going to screw this one on. It's much easier to get to this one second. And then that's basically fitted, well, once you put the bracket on. And of course the diameter of this new fuel filter is a little bit smaller than the diameter of the old one, so on the bracket I'm just adding in a little bit of foam like that, and to take up that slack, and it works fine. And I'll connect that back up. Pretty simple. Alright, so the fuel filter is fitted. There he is there. A bit hard to see under the wheel arch. And I've put a bit of foam in there to take up, rubber foam to take up the difference in the diameter of the bracket and the actual filter. But just in case, just as an extra precaution, you can see I put a cable tie there, and it goes down and around just in case it starts to slip up and down. It shouldn't go anywhere, but just a bit of peace of mind there. Things aren't, when you get replacement parts, they're not always exact. Sometimes you got to manipulate them a little bit, but anyhow, that's on. And I'll get under the car now and I'll show you the fuel pump, because that's been connected as well. So while I was waiting for my parts to arrive, I've decided to fix up and renew the protection plate for the fuel tanks. So I've patched up that crack that I've had, and also recoated it with body deadener, stripped it down and redid it, and it's turned out pretty good. And also I'm going to put in brand new stainless steel bolts and washers, so it should all look pretty spiff under there. My parts have arrived, so I'm going to do the videos for installing the fuel pump and fuel filter. Cheers.